Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Leo Effects. That's right, we are back at it again. Just when you thought you got rid of me, I came back. So we're going to do this the super awesome, fantastic way that we always do. I have a special guest tonight that I've been very eager to talk to. We have been talking in the background a little bit. I'm super, super happy that he's here to talk about his little project that he's got. I say little, but this is big stuff. This is huge. So please allow me to introduce our guest for this evening, Leonard Patterson. Come on out, sir. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me, Leo, man. I appreciate this.
Yeah, no problem at all. Not at all. I hope you're having a good night. Things are going well for you.
Yes, things are well. Gonna grab a little dinner after this, but yeah, man, I'm just hanging out and ready for a good weekend.
Absolutely. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
And, I think there's no time like the present. Then we just dive right into this with some Q&A. And the first question that I was kind of thinking and I was wondering about is, what is the Artist Collective? Like, what does that encompass?
Yes, thank you. The Artist Collective is our music consulting company, and our CEO, Evan Price, and the COO, Vinny Hines, started the company several years ago, a Chicago-based organization with the mission of helping artists and bands and musicians just really get back to the music. Like businesses, the business part of the music business isn't necessarily the fun part, but at the same time, it can be the profitable part. There is the profitable part. So our mission really is just to help musicians, create a profitable music brand, so that they can attract those lifelong super fans and build systems and stuff that allow them to focus on their music while connecting with an audience. So
Gotcha.
but yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed being a part of the team. I'm probably about just 8 months into the team, but as of last year, when we were all kind of scurrying around with the pandemic, I did have a solo company that I was running that was doing pretty much the same thing, called Indie Band Coach, and our paths crossed, and a lot of the things we were saying, like, oh my goodness, that is exactly what I'm thinking, or like, that's a great way to do that. We were on each other's podcasts and stuff, and we just literally in the fall just decided to they asked me to become a part of the Artist Collective. So we're one big happy family now, and I get a little verklempt sometimes because I feel like I'm back in a band. I'm like, let's get the band back together, guys. This is awesome.
Let's get back together, guys.
But no, the Artist Collective, and we've got a really active group of membership and our musicians and stuff that are part of the group that we just love to see shine, and it's all about them and their success, and it's awesome, and I can't wait to things to open back up to the point where we can actually like hang out in person.
So. Yeah, absolutely. That's been rough on everybody. It's so hard to really accomplish anything over remote like that, especially with music. If you've even got a little bit of lag on one end, it just throws everything off.
Yeah, definitely.
So as the content marketing lead, what is your role in all this? How do you fit into this? What cog do you play in this big machine?
Well, we have, as an organization, we basically have a 4-pillared approach to how we are helping artists, and it didn't start like this. It just happened to be that we also have 4 of us that are actually working in the front facing part of the company, and like each one of them happens to be like one of our strong suits. So CEO Evan, he is basically in charge of all of our branding and helping artists brand themselves. So he's the expert in that, amongst a host of other things. Vinny, the COO, as I mentioned, he is all about the music revenue streams, music money, as we call it, and things like that. Willie is our marketing expert, our Facebook ads expert that really helps artists kind of expand their reach. And yeah, I'm kind of the content guy. So that's something that has been near and dear to my heart. That is something that I've taken courses and certifications and gotten certified in and all of this stuff to be able to kind of understand it and to apply it to, musicians and our own businesses and things like that. But yeah, and, from that is, as it just so turns out, as the pandemic hit, that, live streaming is one form of content. So that all
Right.
kind of, all kind of came full circle. But yeah, so being the content marketing lead, the content guy, is just one of those four pillars that we really do try to help take artists through. One of our programs where it's the first program that we've had that we've all been involved in this coaching program. So like that's kind of where it kind of all fits into our ecosystem. And yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah. And that kind of brings me to the next topic, which is exactly why I invited you on, why you came. And that's to talk about your book that's coming out. And, we talked about it a little bit back there behind the
Yeah.
scenes. And you were talking about how it started off as a technical manual. So, I know you already kind of told me the story, but how
Yeah.
about for everybody else? How did this book, like, first of all, what's the title?
The title of the book is 365 Live Stream Ideas for Musicians.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And the
And
original
where'd
title.
that start?
Right. The original title was simply Live Streaming for Musicians. Because, like everyone else, when March 2020 came around, I had plans. I had stuff I was going to do. A lot of my background also includes being a booking agent and booking, thousands of shows for hundreds of bands and all that stuff, and just trying to help people get shows and get paid. And so I'd kind of stepped away from that for a little bit, but when March came around last year, I was focused on working with a couple of bands, and we had some shows set up and things were, I'm like, cool, I'm about to start kind of getting back into the grind again. And we had 5 or 6 shows set up over 4 days that started on St. Patrick's Day, 2020, and they never happened.
Right. Oh.
And so I realized that there were a lot of musicians and artists kind of scurrying around and just, I follow a lot of musicians, obviously. So I just saw a lot of people scurrying around, not knowing exactly where to turn or what to do or where tools were out there. And so I started going live and just doing like some, hey, here's StreamYard, for example, what we're using right now.
Right.
Like, here's StreamYard. Here's how you can do a live stream and have some actual visuals there to help kind of brand your live stream. Oh, by the way, you could also not necessarily just have 2 people, but you could send a link to yourself and actually use your phone as a second camera and have a couple angles, like cool stuff that's really easy to use. But then I got the bug, and I'm like, you know what? I should write a book. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll write a book.
Yeah, that's easy. I mean,
yeah,
just sit down and type some stuff out.
Yeah, I know how to use a computer. Come on, somebody. So, yeah, that's basically how it started, was that, just desire to want to help and to want to get some information out there. Obviously, I could have chosen a topic that was a little bit more stable at the time. And so, as it turns out, every time, over the next, 2 or 3 months, every time I would press save on whatever this idea was, it was grossly outdated just because of all of the tech, all of the new nuances and things that Facebook was having become available and things that you could do on this platform. And obviously live streaming was around prior to last year, but obviously that was a huge boom, and so I tried to create this, or I started to create this technical manual. Hey, guys, here's how you live stream. Here's how you set this stuff up. Here's, a couple of platforms that you can use. And yeah, it quickly became apparent that was not going to be the route for me. I felt like I would need a team of people just gathering all of the information that was coming in all at once. And, pretty much by the summer, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to write a book. Yeah, that's what I'm going to not do. I'm not going to write a book. But, life went on, stuff was going on, and ended up consulting with some awesome musicians and artists and helping them start their live streams and things like that, and was having a ball. So I was still involved and still curious and still seeing like, cool, is there a cool platform I could show somebody? And then, yeah, by the fall, I realized that a lot of my conversations were about ideas. And a lot of ideas that I, could see other artists using that were very successful, and a lot of reports of major artists and, things that were entities that were like coming together to like, make platforms and all of this stuff. And I'm like, you know what, this is okay. This is kind of cool. And so that's when I kind of picked up the baton again.
Yeah.
And like, let me just start jotting down some ideas. Let me just take this away from how to and turn it into what if. What if you were to start one that, was a music themed show? Or what if you were to not be able to get access to your musician friends? Like, what else could you do that doesn't actually involve music? So those kinds of ideas started to kind of bubble over. And then that's kind of when I said, you know what? I'm going to write a book again. And it actually started off as 101 live stream ideas.
Okay.
And then I got crazy. Something hit me. I don't know if it was the cabin fever or whatever hit me, but I'm like, 101 is not enough. This is a year-long thing. Like, it's supposed to last 30 days. 30 days, guys. If you remember, it's like, we're just going to shut stuff down for this month.
Just for a little bit.
For a little bit. Now we know it's like March 92nd now.
Right.
And we're still not here. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of where it started and kind of how it turned into what it is. And yeah, it's definitely been still, changes and all that kind of stuff, but a lot easier to manage and a lot more evergreen than what it started off as.
That's cool. That's wild. Like, I couldn't imagine writing a book, even just a book of ideas. Like, I wouldn't even know where to start. Yeah. So maybe I need a book of how to start a book.
You know what? Okay, hold on. Let me write some notes.
Yeah. That is cool, though. I really like the concept and the idea. And this book comes out Monday, right?
Yes, comes out Monday.
Awesome.
Yeah,
where can people find it?
They can find it on Amazon, and they'll also be able to find it on our website, which is artistcollect.com/365. And yeah, I'm building in some perks and some extra resources and stuff. So actually, if you do go to that website and hop on the email, I'll definitely be able to send some stuff, like some different worksheets, just idea templates. We also had a guy that was really instrumental in like getting together like a lot of resources that didn't make it into the book that I'm like, I still want to offer that. Like literally there's guy, his name is Steven Stay, and he put together in one of his groups 197 or so Facebook groups that are specifically for musicians and or live streaming. And there are communities that are coming together. So like some are karaoke, some are open mics, some are festivals and things like that, but it's all of these groups where you can, basically go in and find your people and see a whole bunch of different ideas and collaborate and things like that. So, um, as I
Right.
was looking at the book, like there were already like close to 350 or so. So I'm like, I didn't want to like include another 150. I'm like, I want to keep it 365. Like I didn't want
Yeah.
it to be like 502. Like that doesn't mean anything. 365 is a recognizable number. So, but no, we've got some extra, extra resources and things like that. But yeah, it was definitely fun. Not only with the list, but there's also 7 or 8 interviews that I got a chance to do in there. So I got a chance to talk to Randy Nichols, who is the manager of Under Oath, which is a metal band that has been featured in Forbes and Billboard and all these publications. But he got a chance to talk to him about how they put together their live stream and what platform they used and how they made at the time close to $600,000 on this live stream and all the stuff that they did. But there's a lot of interviews, I should say. There's several interviews in there like that where I'm just asking people how they're doing, what they're doing. And so, yeah, I'm excited to share their stories as well, just as
Absolutely.
inspiration.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interviews are always crazy. You never know what you're going to get when you get into them, So
exactly.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a couple of people that said, "Hey, man," because I did a few of them by email, just for timing and all that. And there are
Yeah.
a couple of people that said, "Hey, man, I'd rather not like email this. Can we just talk?" I'm like, "Sure." So we did a couple of Zoom calls, and then had them transcribed, which I did not realize would be such a task as well. I'm like, man, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how many, nonsense syllables we use in the course of a conversation. Okay,
We
cool.
really, yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
I tried to
Yeah.
do that once, and I didn't even make it through it. And I said I'm never doing that again. So
I
I
understand
I
completely.
feel you. I feel you.
Yeah.
Of the 365, do you have one that's just kind of like your standout favorite?
Hmm. Of the 365, there's a bunch. And it's 365 ideas, but several of them are like tips. Um, Several of them are like how to monetize on specific platforms and things like that. But
Okay.
yeah, so it's kind of it's a mixture. Ideas is more of a broad term, but I would say if I had to choose one or like a few, I would say is that there are one of the sections in there talks about I think it's like 13 or 14 different music themed recurring show ideas.
Nice.
And so one of the things I think that is most difficult about, just showing up and actually monetizing live streams or being able to show up for fans is to be able to show up consistently. And so that's one of the reasons I like that group. And there's a few more that are also, there's a whole chapter on recurring content ideas, but that's kind of like my favorite, like my go-to, because it's like, if you can find that, that that concept that you really connect with and you
Mhm.
can do it on a consistent basis, that's when it really starts to move the needle. So there's a lot of prompts and things to be able to say, or like icebreaker questions and things like that, to help artists kind of get over the hump of like pressing record or pressing go live and that kind of thing. But to me, the real sauce is being able to find something that you can do consistently to, basically build another income stream. So if I had to pick my favorite, like, hey, go check these out, I would say, you know, do that. And then there's a whole separate chapter on monetizing and things like that. So that's probably like my go-to. And we've got a couple examples of artists in there that do really good themed live streams and things like that. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So
Man.
And as you mentioned before we came on too, you asked if this would be applicable to podcasts.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't think of it like this necessarily because I had blinders on. But not only is it applicable to a lot of this could be applicable to podcasts. However, it could also be not considered just live streaming. Like these are just content ideas, and live streaming is just kind of the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
So some of these prompts and some of these behind the scenes ideas, they could also just be video that you record. They don't have to be like live, or they could be content that you share via images and things like that. So it's not just live streaming, and it's not just for musicians. Definitely. Yeah.
It's all encompassing. It's
Exactly.
365.
Right? Wait. That'd be 360. Anyway, I feel you.
But,
Yeah.
I got to ask, we kind of joked about it a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Do you have any other books that you might be writing in the future? Or was this just kind of a one-shot deal?
Well, this is slightly off base of like the topic of the book. Actually, let me throw this out here. I did have a faint idea in my head that, 101 content ideas is like a topic that could be very complementary to this that wouldn't necessarily have to be live streaming. And as you mentioned, wouldn't necessarily just have to be musician oriented. So I did have that thought. I don't know that I'm going to go down that route anytime this decade, but however, this again is off topic, but my wife and I, we have a 19-month-old son, and
Congrats.
thank you. But we have been in a band together. We both the lead singer of our band and stuff. So we're just always singing and making up songs and stuff like that. And we realized that a lot of the songs that we've been singing over the last year, 18 months, or whatever, like, oh, this would be a good children's book. We literally have 5 ideas that we're probably going to translate into children's books sometime soon. And the thing I love about children's books is that they're short. They're really short.
Yeah.
Or they can be anyway.
Right.
So yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, this song is what, like 6 sentences? Oh, I can rock with that. Let's do that.
This is perfect.
Right. Get this done this year, man. Come on.
Yeah.
But no, just in terms of books, I really am, this was not my I found my passion. This was like, I want to complete this because I want to have this resource out there because I think that it can be helpful.
Right.
And now going through the whole process of getting it written and published and edited, I've made the correlation that, publishing a book is a lot like releasing a CD. There's other entities to be involved. There's different phases, and there's, the editor was kind of like your mixing engineer, and then, the guy who's going to do the formatting, or guy or gal who's going to do the formatting is kind of like the person who's going to do your mastering before you put it out into the world. So it has been very fulfilling, but it's not something that, at least right now, and it's coming out Monday, so I'm still kind of close to it.
Right.
So after I get past Monday, I might have a different feel, but right now I'm like, yeah, let's go ahead and just check this off, because there's been a lot of late nights that I'm like, yeah, I think I'd rather be watching a Marvel movie, but we got to get it done. But yeah.
Well, how about social media? Is there any particular social medias or websites that you want to direct people to? You kind of talked about where the Artist Collective was located. If you want to reiterate on that, or any other websites.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, to get information about the book and to get some of the extras that will be coming out next week, you can go to artistcollect.com/365, or you can also follow me on Instagram, which is where I publish a lot of the live stream stuff, just some of the content things. But it is AC_Leonard P. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? Oh, watch this. Watch this. AC underscore. Boom. Look at that. Come on, somebody. Boom. So that's my Instagram handle right down there.
Cool.
But yeah, please come on over. Would love to share any tips, or if you have any questions, would love to answer them. Obviously, if you have anything, questions about the book, I'd love to answer that. But yeah, just love to connect regardless of what the topic is. And yeah, I appreciate this time, man. This is fun.
Yeah, I agree. I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot of good stuff from you. And, congratulations on the book. I can't wait to get over to Amazon and get that on Monday. I hope that all the listeners do that too. Wink, wink. Hint, hint, hint.
Right.
But yeah, you're a fun guy. You're absolutely a blast to talk to. I've really enjoyed myself. So thanks.
I appreciate you, man. Yeah. And if you guys are listening, have an awesome rest of the weekend, rest of the year, and be safe and be blessed.
For sure. Thank you very much. And thank you to all the listeners who tuned in to check this out and give us the thumbs up. Make sure to get over to the social medias and to the website and to Amazon on Monday, and keep an eye out because you're not going to want to miss this stuff, guys. I'm telling you. But thank you all very much, and we'll see you all next time.